thank you everyone for joining. And Ralph, you can go to the next couple screens. You
Okay.
can quickly
Okay.
go through them. This is the all member meeting, and we're going to start off like always. We have to talk about the antitrust statement. This is just our statement to say that we are abiding by all antitrust laws and in not working together in any sort of way that would give anyone any sort of an advantage. So we are abiding by all these antitrust laws that we have. Kip does that. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. I think that, yep. So we do have a couple newer folks on the call. So I know while some of us know this, I wanted to go ahead and reiterate some of our Kilmer Innovations in Packaging's, our vision and our mission, where a lot of us, have can remember maybe a time, or maybe we don't remember the time where we were just starting out back in 2019, creating the KIP collaboration group through the Kilmer conference. This collaboration group has grown so much in the last 5 years, where it started at around 15 to 20 folks. We now have over, I think, almost 500 following on LinkedIn, and quite a few active members as well. So this group has really grown because there is so many people that have bought in and agree with it, that our vision is really something that we want to drive this sector of the sterility assurance value chain where packaging is involved. We want to drive the innovation, and we want to improve those outcomes, those patient outcomes in the healthcare packaging realm, through science and engineering and like the understanding around it. So our mission within all of that has been to really just collaborate together, share the information that we have, promote what we do find, provide that with education and everything else within this entire value chain. And we want to do that all through uh any of the projects that we do. We want to make sure that that is all unbiased research and unbiased information, so we are no owned IP through it all. Okay, next slide, Ralph. So executive committee updates. We're going to keep one more. Over the last year, we've had some new members join the executive committee. If you haven't heard, we did add a couple members at large in Dr. DeGruson and Melinda Alamari. So thank you all. Thank you both for joining. And then we also have a TBD on a vice chair. So that is one role that has kind of had a change up in it. And I think we're still waiting to hire, or not hire, but place someone in that role. Next slide. And then one exciting thing that we want to talk about is I'm going to actually hand off the mic, so to speak, to Dr. Lisa Simone. She is with the FDA, and she's actually going to go ahead and give us an update on a new exciting collaboration that we have with the FDA now that Kilmer collaboration groups are being recognized as collaborative communities within the CDRH and FDA. Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join the Teams link, so I can't see anything. I did provide one slide that's just a real quick high-level overview. My name's Lisa Simone. I work in CDRH in the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Technology Innovation. We are a group that does a wide range of activities, from emergency response to standards to cybersecurity. And also, we've got a division of partnerships and innovation, which oversees a lot of the collaborative activities like this collaborative community. So I've been working with some folks in Kilmer for well over a year, trying to explore whether or not this would be the right setup for the collaborative community. But I do want to just zoom backwards in time just a little bit to give you an idea of how we got here. And I'm sure everybody in this group is really familiar with the recent sterilization challenges in this effort to reduce a reliance on ETO, or ethylene oxide, as a sterilant. And about a year and a half ago, I was asked to lead an internal team in CDRH. And the goal they put forward to us was reduce reliance on ETO by moving a meaningful subset of devices or materials away from ETO and towards other sterilization modalities. And I mean, this is a pretty big ask. And when you think about the types of things that a federal agency can do, you think about regulatory flexibilities like expedited review or some of the earlier activities that we did, like the innovation challenges or the master file pilot programs. And these were some activities that we can do that were focused on this specific challenge. And these do encourage the reduce of ethylene oxide. It encourages development of new technologies and alternative technologies. And it helps by making it easier to come in for pre-market review. Maybe less documentation is needed, or maybe there's a pre-market review submission that's not even needed in some cases. But we wanted to look beyond pure incentives in those types of categories and look for opportunities earlier in the product development life cycle. And this is a little bit out of our wheelhouse, but encouraging folks to think about sterilization from the start when you're selecting the materials, when you're thinking about the packaging needs. So this Tiger team that I'm a part of, as soon as we started talking about new technologies and material properties, for example, that moves into an area where we can't do it alone. And in this sterilization space, it really does rely on these collaborations. And that came very clear to us over the last year or so. We've been running a sterilization town hall series. It's a series of town halls on a variety of different sterilization topics. Maybe you've been to some. We've got 2 more left. And through those conversations we've been having with folks, it's become clear that there are a lot of questions out there. There are lots of opportunities for potential solutions. And when we think about bringing everybody together, that's when we started to get interested in this idea of a collaborative community around sterilization, because we saw the need for technical data in a wide range of areas. And we spoke to a lot of interested parties who wanted to share data, but they were unsure how to initiate those conversations. They suggested, is this something that FDA could potentially lead? And that's not an area where we would take leadership, but it is an area where we can collaborate. So these collaborative communities are continuing forums where we bring together public and private sector members, and these folks work together proactively on common objectives and outcomes, like these challenges that we have in the medical device ecosystem around sterilization right now. And these collaborative communities are in a wide range of topic areas. I should have put a link on this slide, but if you go to a search engine and type in CDRH Collaborative Community, it will take you right to our website. And you'll see they're in broad areas like ophthalmic imaging, heart valve, wound care, pathology, digital health measurement, infection management, smart and autonomous medical systems. And if you scroll down at the very bottom, and we do by reverse chronological order, we've got Kilmer Community on Sterility Assurance. So we were really excited to be able to put that on the list in September. Now, these communities are designed to be long-standing. They're not to solve a single challenge, like one and done. The outcomes can be wide-ranging, so it's not something where CDRH is going to tell you what you need to do or give an expectation of the type of work you do. We don't dictate it at all. We don't convene or direct collaborative communities. We may participate in a collaborative community, so I'm here as a new member for your collaborative community. CDRH may consider adopting solutions that are developed by a collaborative community if doing so is in the best interest of public health and it's consistent with the law. But we do have a great confidence in the collaborative community structure because it brings such a wide range of interested parties together. And Kilmer had really already been working in this area for quite some time. I'm pretty familiar with your history now. And the breadth of the collaboration teams within your community is frankly more than we thought was possible. And it does check off a number of boxes where we identified some real needs. So I'm here representing CDRH, who's now a member of this community. And right now, coincidentally, the material compatibilities team is also meeting. So some of the other members of the Tiger team are participating in their meeting. And it's exciting to us to explore what's going to be happening in these different groups. And for this group, the packaging obviously is an incredibly important focus. And when we think about packaging, really what's been top of mind for us recently has been vaporized hydrogen peroxide. It was a novel modality that just earlier this year, we were able to move to a category A sterilant, which means we've got more familiarity with this. It's not novel. There is the recent recognition of ISO 22441, and that means we can update our 510K sterility guidance to recognize it as category A. That means less documentation is needed for the use of that sterilant if it comes in for a pre-market submission. And we've been encouraging, we've been talking with folks who started to consider using VHP. There's a lot of research in the area, but we recognize that there are some significant packaging challenges with this sterilant because it's not compatible with paper-based packaging. So it's an area that's really ripe for innovation, and not really just for VHP. During our town hall series, and we've got a mailbox associated with the series, we've gotten a number of questions that are related to packaging, and some of these, you're probably all familiar with the different areas, but questions about specific tests that we needed to be, to assess packaging integrity, to assess environmental considerations, simulated distribution, and other types of packaging tests. So we do have a wide range of subject matter experts in CDRH who are interested in getting involved in the different communities, including this one. So we are standing by to hear exactly what the team is doing, how we could get involved, and if there's any questions that I can answer about the collaborative community specifically, I'm happy to answer those, but we're just standing by ready to get involved. So I appreciate the opportunity to say a couple of words, and I'm happy to learn more.
Thank you, Lisa. So we're going to do something a little different than normal. We are actually going to open the floor for the next 7 minutes to see if anyone has any questions for Lisa and this collaboration, because we know that this is a topic that is exciting, and expect that there's probably some questions, and we don't necessarily want to wait all the way to the end.
Yeah, this is Jordan Montgomery, Medtronic. Thank you, Lisa, for the information today. Really appreciate FDA looking to be involved in this really important topic. So what I want to say is that there was a conference in Munich back in March that some of your colleagues attended, and I think we had really good alignment coming out of that conference that there needs to be industry level work to understand the effect of some of these alternate modalities on packaging materials and common packaging system designs. And there's a group of us, myself, a few others, some of whom are on this call. We're organizing the strategy around some of that work, and I'm actually going to present it at the Kilmer conference, a strategy for how industry, whether it's sterile packaging manufacturers, device manufacturers, et cetera, how we can step up and fill the void with some peer-reviewed data, as well as peer-reviewed guidance in this space for how to consider alternate modalities with packaging. So I just wanted to say that I'm really excited you're on this call today, and I think this is going to be a great area for collaboration in the future.
Oh, that sounds terrific. It's definitely a gap, and to hear the goal to pursue peer-reviewed data, and well, I do have to say guidance. When we have to be careful using the word guidance, because from the regulatory perspective, guidance with a big G is an area that we can't really play in the community. I'm glad you raised that. I should have made this point. We can participate in just about everything that a community does. There are two areas where we can't, and one is anything related to finances or financial or funding, and the other one is anything that's related to policy. Like if this group wanted to get together and talk about a potential change in policy or guidance with the big G, that's fine. That's something that you're of course free to do, but that would be an activity that we would not be able to participate in. But I think from your description, you're talking about guidance really with a little g, and more like considerations rather than actual kind of policy guidance. But very super area. And I was not at the TUV SUD conference in Munich, but some of our collaborators were, and we were really excited to hear the outcomes and the work streams that were a result of that. So anything that continues to produce work streams in that area, all good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? We've got a couple more minutes if there's another question for Lisa. Okay. Well, if there's not, we can go ahead and move on to the next
Kat,
set.
sorry,
Yeah.
I tried to get off mute in time. Hi, Lisa. This is Jen Goff. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for this information. Question for you. So I'm really excited to hear about VHP and what the team is doing there. I'm also curious to know about other modalities that the agency is looking at. Are there others that are also kind of getting a bit of traction that you could share with us, or that the agency is looking into?
That's a terrific question, Jen. We do have a number of subject matter experts at FDA, but not necessarily in the technical aspects of the modalities themselves. So that's an area where we generally have to go outside of the agency. But we are doing a lot with standards and standards recognition and standards development. And we also just created an internal, what's it called, a sterilization standards task force. And they are looking to identify gaps in the standards that are related to different modalities, for example, and that helps us know where to put our liaisons in various working groups. It would be awesome to have standards or some sort of peer-reviewed documentation for a variety of different modalities, because when that's in place, it makes it easier for us to adopt that as, say, a category A sterilant, and then the pre-market requirements are reduced for those category A sterilants. So we're really agnostic to the particular modality and really more focused on which modalities can we learn more about, can we gain a greater confidence in, can we learn more about, and once we gain that, then it's easier for us to apply that knowledge to pre-market review. So not really agnostic. We have heard a lot about, and this is really not an endorsement in any way, but there's been an awful lot of questions to us about chlorine dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and some sterilants in that area. We have invited those folks to come in and share their information with us, say like in an informational meeting, and just to give us that greater background knowledge. So we do welcome anything that could help us learn more about these different modalities, but we can't say that we're looking to endorse a particular modality at this time.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa.
All right, and that is about right on time for what we have for this Q&A section. There's going to be time for more questions at the end, but that was just an opportunity to kind of speak to it before anyone has to jump off or anything. So thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Jordan and Jen, for asking some good questions. All right, well, let's continue on to the next slide, Ralph. All right, now we're going to go into the committee updates, and I'm going to go ahead, we can go one more slide, and I'm going to hand it off to someone else on our membership committee, Jen Lauterbach. She's going to go ahead and do the update for the committee. Thank you.
Okay, hi team. Just a quick update from our membership committee. We have a great team. We've got Kat and Seema and Tyler and myself, and then our executive committee rep is Jen Benoken. And as Kat's already kind of reviewed, our mission is to help align members with the passions that they have, and basically help them to get engaged in KIPP opportunities to drive that innovation and maintain active engagement on various committees and in various programs. So kind of looking at the year in review so far, we've hosted 2 all-member meetings such as this, and also done 3 new member meetings, basically helping to onboard 10 new members over the course of the year. And if you look at the current membership, as Kat stated, it's over 500. If you look at the LinkedIn, as far as just engagement or people that are aware of kind of our activities and programs that we're engaging in, but active membership that are actually participating in the committees and the programs probably is more around, I'd say 70. But yeah, a lot of good things happening, and continue to have. We had 2 more today that I noticed that Peter sent in to have 2 more members that are interested in getting involved as well. So continue to share the activities that KIPP is involved in and programs. And as you know, you have colleagues or suppliers, customers that might be interested in engaging as well. We'll be glad to get them plugged into the various areas where they have passions and they want to be a part of KIPP. That's all I had. Ralph, if you don't mind going to the next slide, I think we'll go on to the next committee update.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Ralph. What a fun committee to get involved with, especially to help us as KIPP get more KIPPsters on board, people like Lisa and team. My name's Austin Liu from Abbott Laboratories, representing the KIPP Funding Committee, and our purpose is essentially to figure out how to get more KIPP projects off the tarmac. So just a brief update on 2024 activities. We've really been reaching out to our program and committee leaders to understand what's on the radar, what is KIPP working on. So mapping out KIPP's work streams. We've been working with our executive sponsor, Deanne Dodrell, as well as our committee members and my co-lead, Kylie Jupstrom, on defining what's KIPP's value proposition so that when we represent marketing communications externally, how do we convey to people that might not know everything about KIPP, why we're here and what we're trying to accomplish. This is all kind of bubbling up into a collaborative effort with the marketing communications team, membership, et cetera. Probably in 2025 and 2026 to actually go out to organizations externally and participate in a fundraising campaign to eventually support all of our KIPP programs and projects. Next slide, please.
All right, so for KIPP Education, myself and Peter co-lead this one, and we as well have a mission ourselves, and we're really looking to break down the silo working approach and promote cross-functional practices across packaging engineers, healthcare professionals, really just collaborating and bringing everybody together within the full value chain. And the stakeholders that help support are healthcare professionals, industry professionals, and we work with a couple different universities as well, industry organizations, and then healthcare facilities. Next slide, please. This one is just a highlight of some of the achievements that we've had since starting within KIPP. Most recently, we're getting ready for recording and launching a podcast. That is going to be a series. We've launched a white paper historically, and then academic and industry outreach with a couple different industry organizations. And then we've supported conference shows and trade shows within the PACOut. And then we have for 2025, the poster board session approved. So plan to speak at that Kilmer conference next year. Next slide. Okay, for the student engagement, I guess I'll take a step back. There's 3 different activities that are currently going on. So for student engagement, UW Stout and UW Eau Claire have been working together, and Dr. DeGrossen has been working quite closely with the EU nursing team there to grant and propose funding for a grant approval. And this is really just to bring nursing students and packaging students together. There's a picture here with packaging components and kits that we're working to be able to have available for the universities to talk with nursing and packaging students, understand how we're opening them aseptically, and create some training opportunities that we can transfer on throughout our students. And then the surgical kit creation. So we've worked with a couple of different industry organizations to cross collaborate. I think we're trying to do similar things, but really get this off the ground here so that we have a packaging kit that we can share and use across industry, whether that's for students or industry professionals as well. Next slide. Blue Wrap podcast, or the Stale Wrap podcast, is going to be a 3-part series, and we're working with John Wood through Process This. And we've identified a pain point within industry as most of the reprocessed components are 2 wraps to complete that sterile configuration. And if one of those layers is compromised, there's been a question of what do you do with it? Is it acceptable to use? And so this kind of transpired a lot of conversations within our group and pulling together in the industry professionals to help support. But this podcast is going to be highlighting, kind of this pain point of what do we do if we have a breach in that single outer layer? What's happening today, just highlighting that. Understanding what some of the standard requirements are and the AAMI guidelines for that, some training, storage handling, etc. And then within that podcast, we're pulling in some of our industry experts. So AAMI is planning to support that. And then we have healthcare professionals from both North America and EU to have some cross collaboration between our regions, and then a packaging engineer to help support. So that first one wanting to launch by the end of December of this year, and then the other 2 series will follow. Some more to come on this one. Next slide, please. And then lastly, our stale reprocessing. This one has been on the front, I think, since we brought KipEd together, of really wanting to have some videos available for packaging healthcare professionals, industry professionals, to just understand what happens in the last 100 yards. So great opportunity, and really excited for this one. We've identified kind of the process map of the different touch points within that last 100 yards. And then we have collaborated with SBA and have approval for funding to support and partner with SBA and, working with KIP to create a video. So looking forward in 2025, we'll be creating that storyboard, and then farther on, having some training videos that we can share with an industry. And that's it for KipEd. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tanja, for the good information there. Then talking about marketing, communication, and branding. We have a group here of people. We also have a co-chair in process. We're actually interviewing some folks right now. We are looking at having that person on board some at the end of this month, beginning of the next. And in the meantime, I have Tanja, who know quite well on my side. But the mission for us is develop a cohesive KIP brand and messaging to foster increased participation of healthcare industry professionals. That means for our KIP members ourselves, but also internally, but particularly also externally to any healthcare industry professional. Next slide, please. So look about some of the things that we have done so far. We did create a brand guideline. And in that brand guideline, for some of you may see this for the first time, we also talk about supporters, members, and sponsors. And these are logos that you can use. So when you're a supporter, for example, it means that you provide financial support to KIP, or maybe in-kind donations. Or when you're a member, that you actively are volunteering within our community, or if you're a sponsor, that you as a company have people within your organization that tries to help us. Brand guideline, we really want to create consistent message. That means only how to use our logos when you go out, but particularly also when you speak, or when you create a blog, or when you are there on socials and all that kind of thing, to make sure that we have one voice, and we really do that in a very enthusiastic, motivating way. So the other thing is that we've created for our members LinkedIn newsletters, that what you would see sometimes coming after project management call, and templates for us. So when you're a member and you want to know where our templates and logos are to be used, it's there. There's a link in the bottom that you can follow, or if some of your team members are looking for that, there's the link. And this shows you the brand guidelines, 6-page document. It's great. I'm sure you'll like it. Provides guidance. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we've been working on is also LinkedIn. Some of you may know, some don't. We also had a closed community LinkedIn page in the past, and we decided believe like a little bit more than a year ago, to make a transition to open company page for KIP. That means that if you're not a member, you can still see the information on what we do. But the other thing is what we do, we really strive to create activity. So we're having some of our committees or programs asking questions, surveys where you can respond to. You see what's going on. And the visibility is really a part of the success journey that we make. And what you see there in the bottom is a nice example. So we did have some events over the year. And you see after the events or when someone posts, there's really a strong activity on people that are looking at our page, try to engage, and actually become new member. So I encourage everyone that wants to say something or the message about KIP, please do. And think about the brand guideline where we just talked about how you can do that. Next slide, please. So some of the activities that we're currently working on, we're building on our strategy. We're building on our communication rails and provide actually consistent messaging throughout the year. So that's how we create a calendar and also social media activity plan, some of those things. And Tanya was just talking about a podcast. We've heard more podcasts in the past, and I can imagine if you want to do with your group a podcast, how do you do it? With who should you connect? What are the options? How do you speak? All those kind of things. We're creating guidelines for that. And how can you, as a KIP leader within our organization, how can you be successful? In the meantime, of course, we continue to update our templates and all the sort of thing on our website. That's upcoming. We hope that we can get that done throughout the next year. We're working with Amy together on that. And talking about Amy, if you are a member and if you have issues to get access to our Amy teams, contact Ralph Bazile or Jen Benolken. Send them a personal message. They're more than happy to help you right away and to get access to the documents so we can collaborate on this together with you. Then, if you're interested still in our marketing committee, the communication branding committee, just send myself and Tanya a personal message. We're more than happy to have you join our excited team. Thank you. That's it for now.
Thank you, Peter. Ralph, we can move on to the next slide. We're going to go towards the program updates, and we're going to start with the last 100 yards.
Hi, this is Jane Severin. Last 100 yards is taking a close examination of what happens to a sterile barrier system from the point of entry to a hospital to the point of use and disposal. So it's been a collaborative effort between healthcare workers and packaging engineers. There's a new team of managers for the program. Adam and myself have just recently joined Jen, who's been a veteran. So we're just getting things started going again. Next slide, please. So one of the first programs we worked on was repetitive handling. And this was taking a look at what kind of contamination is found on a sterile package after it's been handled multiple times. So it was a study run by a passionate group of people, myself, Sue Klasik, Hannah Harris, Terry Meadow, and Austin Liu. And there's an article that's ready to be published called The Increase in Surface Contamination Due to Repetitive Handling of Sterile Packaged Medical Devices Within Healthcare Facilities. And this will be published in BINT after we get full permission from the companies that the authors work for. Next, we're going to be gathering ideas for new projects. So if anyone has ideas, please share them. One thing that's been talked about is a pocket study, and this is similar of repetitive handling, but examining what kind of contamination a device will encounter being stuffed in a healthcare worker's pocket. Jen?
Go ahead. So for external transport, we've got a couple of, the project is just getting done. So the team has put together an excellent draft that should be getting published hopefully early next year in BINT. And it's just really looking at how all the components of what is going on outside of the actual facility in terms of how it impacts the instruments and the components being transported. And so far, we don't have any additional projects for this one after this one is done. And then also some of the same team members were looking at soil dry time. And this was published last year in BINT and has been utilized. Both of these are looking at being utilized in some of the TIRs that are coming out in EME. So excellent work coming from the team, really being useful in terms of how it is going to impact our practices in the industry already. Thank you, Melinda. I saw the study being added, being transported in the armpits. We can do the pocket and pit study, maybe.
Pockets and pits, yep. So my
and
name's Adam Okada. My name is Adam Okada. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a clinical education specialist at Healthmark, and I'm one of the new managers for this project. And I get the fun part of the slide, which is I get to talk about new projects. One of our new projects is the Dew Point study. We are still waiting on a chair for that, and you can see our members there. But we are actively recruiting members for both of these projects. So if you are interested, or if you know anyone who might be interested, the Dew Point study is essentially looking at how moisture or dew point is going to impact sterile packaging. A lot of times in sterile processing departments or whoever is running that sterile storage area, they will have their temperature or humidity go out of alignment. And then we usually can't tell them what kind of, whether or not those things are still sterile. So we're trying to give some type of information so that they can do a risk assessment on their own and then determine whether or not they want to use those packages. So what happens when the moisture gets higher, what the dew point goes up, what happens to those packages. So that's the Dew Point study. It's super exciting. And again, looking for members. So reach out to myself, Jen, or Jane, and we'll get you linked up with our group here. The other one is a point of use or in-facility transport. John Wilder, the great John Wilder, is going to be the chair for that group, and actively recruiting members for that. We're trying to identify how various point of use products are in keeping soils moist in order to allow for the adequate decontamination. So how effective are those point of use treatments? And we have various ones that are on the market. And then in the standards, they recommend things like keeping a moist towel over the instruments. How effective are those kinds of things in keeping instruments moist? So that's it for my slides. So we'll head on to the next one.
I'm Sarah Patak with Canyon Labs. I'm presenting on the KIP aseptation committee, and I have Linda Lamari and Matt Turbush also on my co-lead team. Next slide, please, Ralph. So I think the last time we presented for you guys, we were in what we're calling our phase one of our project. And basically our main objective was to develop a test method to help put data behind answering the question, what is the best aseptic opening method? And our phase one of our whole project was really working on developing a test method that we could submit to ASTM and could become a guidance for people evaluating their packaging designs. And so we recently had that go to the ASTM ballot, and we received feedback on that. So that was kind of the official end of our phase one, which went to our phase two. So in phase two, we're now trying to utilize that method while also parallel pathing, getting ASTM feedback and continually trying to launch that guidance within ASTM. Some of the feedback we received at ASTM was at the conference in Bologna last month. My co-lead Matt Turbush is going to share a little bit about the feedback that we got.
Awesome. So yeah, we were fortunate enough, and a huge milestone was obviously submitting that that draft of the test method. And really, again, our Our goal was just to receive feedback and comments so that we could kind of complete that and run through our validation steps as kind of, as Sarah was saying, alluding to the next steps. So our standard has landed in the FO2 15, which is Chemical and Safety Properties Subcommittee. Our title, which we took a long time to come up with, was Test Method for Evaluating the Risk of Contamination when Aseptically Presenting Devices. So we're very happy with that. And then, as Sarah said, we received quite a few feedbacks. We had 12 total comments, all of them very positive. A lot of them were around formatting, rewording, references, things like that. So it was nice to have the experience of some of the ASTM members there kind of guide us through that. Some other comments had to do with the fluorescent agent specification. So we'll be kind of bolstering those types of things within the protocol, along with some apparatus, equipment, PPE comments, a few safety cautions, and then some acceptance criteria stuff. So really nothing that was stopped the progress from us, and really was just a really successful venture as well. The other kind of key discussion we had was, is this going to be a test method or a practice? That will really drive kind of what our validation methodology will be going forward. So some work to do left with that, but we are really excited for this next phase where we're going to pilot the test, and then hopefully have this published within the next year or so is kind of our goal. So.
Thanks. Yeah, so like I said, that was kind of that was the end of phase 1, but we're continuing on with that method within phase 2. But now that we have that kind of solidified, we're working to utilize the method in our own studies. So currently we are ideating different test method validations that we need to do to ensure that when we use the method, it's reproducible, it's validatable, we can make sure that no matter where we're doing the evaluations, that we can rely on the results. So currently we are doing that. We expect to continually do that through this month. Then we're going to conduct some of the TMVs around those within the beginning of next year. And then we plan on developing our study plan and starting to identify sites to conduct the studies and then executing the studies kind of within Q1, Q2 of next year. Our hope is to be able to interpret the results and discuss those results by the end of kind of Q3 timeline of next year. And by that point, we'll have completed phase 2. And that's really where we think we will have, more data to concretely share within the Kilmer community. The last time we presented at the Kilmer conference in Greece, we were just getting started with identifying, what is the problem at hand. And now, quite a few years later, we're finally getting to where we can come up with a method to actually kind of put some science behind it. So that's currently where we're at. The only other thing we really wanted to call out today is because of the membership committee, we've gotten a ton of really new active members that have kind of changed the script for us. They've been really, really involved, which has been great. And they brought a lot of new ideas. So it's been really awesome to have those new members. I highlighted them at the bottom there in the bold side. So we've had a team that's been with us since the beginning, which is really cool, but now getting all the new interest has been awesome. So thank you to the membership committee. Next slide, Ralph. So our call to action is we're going to start conducting studies, and the whole goal there is to really try to get a statistically significant sample size. So we're going to need a lot of people that are willing to play with packages, open them in a bunch of different ways, and trial the method out and see how it goes. So if you're interested in not only joining our committee, but potentially conducting studies, you can contact myself or Matt or Melinda. That's all we got.
Amit and
Turn.
Kylie.
All right. Sorry about that, Kat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We got you,
Now we
Kylie.
can.
Perfect. All right. I'm Kylie Jepstrom. I'm joined today by my program co-leader, Amit LeMay. And I see a number of our KIP sustainability program members who we will give a shout out to as we go forward. Next slide. All right, so we're going to hit on 4 main points today. A number of these slides will look familiar if you have been with us in previous all-member meetings. First and foremost is membership growth. So as oh, can you still hear me?
We can.
Yep, we can still
Okay,
hear you.
sorry about that. Sorry about that. I was getting some feedback. Over the past year, 2024 was really a year of growth for our program. And as more new members join, it's evident that there's a need and interest for collaboration across industry to drive sustainability end to end. So we'll loop back to that with the strategic planning topic at the end. Second point here is cross-industry collaboration. So a major focus of our group has been being present in industry and driving collaboration, building awareness, and developing common knowledge. We're going to highlight an example of that in a few slides. Then we're going to highlight a specific project, which if you've been on a previous all-member meeting, you've certainly heard us talk about. We've been focused on wrapping up the chemical recycling technical assessment paper. We have Nathan Vanderschaff on today, who is leading that project. And we're going to highlight the status of this project in more detail in a few slides. Last bullet here, strategic planning. So heading into 2025, we're going to be conducting an industry survey that will be used for strategic planning and to identify white space opportunities for future projects. Next slide. So a slide we like to use just to provide a foundation and context as to the focus of the KIPP sustainability program. Sustainability is, no longer a hot topic. It's ever present in industry. NGOs are influencing it. Regulation continues to demand it, and our end users want it. So how do we drive change in a highly regulated environment? So when we think of sustainability, oftentimes as consumers, we think of end of life, such as recycling. And there's excellent work being done downstream by tangential industry groups, such as HPRC. Our efforts are strictly focused upstream. So this image to the right is from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, provides some nice context as to what we mean by upstream. That would be everything upstream of collection and being proactive rather than reactive. KIPP sustainability has been focused on driving collaboration, building consensus, educating, and arming stakeholders with business case for change, as I mentioned in the last slide. Packaging is not simply waste, right? So how can we reduce the impact, enable circularity, and build resiliency in a more sustainable value chain? So the next slide, we're going to highlight, the flagship project that we've been working on for the past couple of years. Next slide. So our flagship project is centered around understanding the business case and pathway to adopting circular resins powered by advanced recycling technologies for sterile barrier packaging. If you are in this space, you have definitely heard a lot of the news around these materials. These processes are not new, but these technology providers are applying them in innovative ways to address plastic waste and close the loop on plastic supply chains. So as these certified circular materials enter the market, and healthcare packaging professionals seek to integrate these sustainably sourced materials, they face many questions from their stakeholders. So this program has been focused on identifying, defining, and breaking down the barriers to adopting these circular materials. Next slide. So these four barriers, and I have to give a shout out here. This slide actually, the previous co-leader Jen Goff's on the call today. So thank you, Jen, for this slide that we've been using as a good reference point. In 2023, we focused on defining the regulatory barrier and bolstering industry education. Like I mentioned, Nathan Vanderschaff from Medtronic, he's leading this work stream. In 2024, we focused on a technical assessment paper to prove equivalency of plastics manufactured from fossil source feedstocks and those derived from an advanced recycling process. The aim here is to address common questions from regulatory stakeholders, and leveraging a framework that has been used to navigate other material changes in industry. We're going to dive deeper on the current status of the paper on the next slide. So if we wouldn't mind advancing. All right, and here I've got to give a shout out to the aseptic presentation team for the slide inspiration. Thank you, Sarah and team. This is a high level snapshot of where we are at with the chemical recycling technical assessment paper. So the objective is, what we already mentioned here. So we want to prove equivalency at the resin level and enable the use of chemically recycled plastics in healthcare packaging, while ensuring that we're meeting all requirements that industry has, specifically those in ISO 11607. Nathan has been leading. The big focus this year has been around peer review. Let me rephrase that. Big focus since Q2, Q3 has been peer review, and now we are engaging regulatory stakeholders. If you've been with us for a while, if you've seen this snapshot, you're probably like, my goodness, this project has dragged on. The reality is, as we've just been stress testing with peers in industry and with those regulatory stakeholders, more questions arise. So I think that we've been, and I really have to give a shout out here to Nathan, Catherine Hoffman, who's on the call, I think, if Hallie Gore is on the call, the three of them have been instrumental in leading this project. So they've been very intentional and thorough in ensuring that stakeholders' voices across the value chain and ecosystem are heard. So we hope to be nearing the, having these open issues, having some of these questions answered in Q1, and hopefully we can be working towards publication in early 2025. All right, next slide. So I mentioned industry education collaboration. I think we have Anna Richards on the call today. This was inspired by Anna Richards. She led this project. It was a collaboration opportunity with IUP MDPTC. So since 2022, we've partnered with MDPTC to develop foundational content around sustainability for healthcare packaging professionals and instruct the Fundamentals of Medical Device Packaging course. This ongoing collaboration leverages the expertise and passion within KIP while bringing diverse voices to each class. And so we're going to continue this collaboration at MDM West in February. And just a note on that diversity point, I think this is a great example. Anna at the time was sitting in an MDM seat. We've had converters represented. You'll see the middle photo there is Nick Packett, who at the time was with DuPont, Zach Moscato with Plastic Ingenuity. Bottom left, Christian Hutter, who was our presenter earlier this year from B. Braun. So just a great example of ensuring that stakeholders' voices across the value chain are represented. Next slide. Strategic planning. So heading into 2025, we're going to conduct an industry survey that'll be used for strategic planning, and I help identify white space opportunities for future projects in collaboration. If anyone's interested in getting involved, we've had a number of new members join us the latter half of this year and are always open to new faces. Thank you.
I think
hello everybody. Hope you can hear me. So my name is Philipp Pötzel. I'm just took over the lead for Breaking Bad Biases. It's kind of like a relaunch of Breaking Bad Biases. So I kind of call it BBB V2O. Next slide, please. So yeah, we just got together again and just hit the ground running again. So there's not too much to present for today yet. So currently the team consists of Logan Luke, Artie Desai, Hank Blom, Nora Crivelli, Charlie Webb, Matthew Michael, and myself. And go to the next slide, please. And so far, we kind of sat down and at least wanted to get a mission and a vision on the road, which will we use as guidelines for us to identify next steps and all the interesting projects that we want to work on. So we ended up for now on a mission that we will tackle and improve healthcare packaging and compliance. And our vision is that we strive to establish an efficient data-driven approach to ISO 11607 compliance, enabling change across the industry. So we all have I think Breaking Bad Biases in general can mean a lot. technically the possibilities are endless here. So just to identify which projects we want to work first and so on. That's why we established a mission and vision, and we all have a big passion in using data and science, and also making things easier for everybody, collaborating within the industry, and also have our customers and yeah, in focus. Next slide, please. So for next steps, in the next few meetings, we'll start brainstorming around ideas for projects. Then obviously, once we have, we will rate them and identify projects that we want to start kicking off and working on, and then start executing on those. And what can you guys do is, of course, we're just beginning, so it's a perfect time to join. You can help us from the start. You can help shape this right from the get-go. So if you feel interested in breaking bad biases, please join our team. If you have good ideas or have things that you want to be tackled or addressed, then please share these ideas with us, and also make sure that we change healthcare packaging and breaking bad biases together. And I think that was it.
Thank you, Philip. I'll take it over from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Seema Momin, also part of the membership committee alongside Kat, Jennifer, and Tyler. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a lot of time for questions today, so I would encourage everyone to reach out directly to the program leaders, committee leaders, and the presenters if you have any questions. We'll give some quick acknowledgements and then close out the meeting for today. Thank you to Dr. Lisa Simone for sharing information about the Kilmer Community on Sterility Assurance being recognized as a collaborative community with CDRH and describing what it means for all of us. Thanks to our program leaders and committee leaders for sharing updates about projects and initiatives, and thanks to our members for contributing towards KIP's work. If you have any questions, please reach out to the presenters. If you're interested in joining KIP, reach out to the membership committee. And if you're not doing so already, please follow our LinkedIn page. And with that, we'll close out our meeting. Hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and goodbye.